Alright guys, back in the garage with the fuel tank. So now I actually have fuel system parts. So I got my 8AN PTFE fuel line 385. 8AN's a little overkill, but if anything happens to this thing in the future power wise, it'll be ready. I got my fittings, I've got some fuel injection hose clamps for in the tank that I'm about to show you guys. My idea is now, got these 8AN to 3/8 bulkheads. So I'm going to keep the baskets on both sides. I'm just not going to use the internal regulator or filter of this guy. Let me balance that. Hey, it's spilling fuel, that's good. So I want to use these bulkheads and do my feed and return from the actual tank itself, probably right about here. So like right here and, I don't know, somewhere around here. Probably knock this thing off, it's just glued on. So I'll have a feed and a return that way. And the return, I'm going to hook back up to the factory return hose that runs through that whole siphon deal to hopefully keep that functional. And the feed obviously is going to come straight from the pump. There won't be any regulator up until it gets to the regulator up in the front of the car. So, let's get to it. See how close it is. No, these Chinese bulkhead fittings do not tell me what size hole they need, and I did not measure, so. And either way, again, I'd like this to be a tight fit, so I don't have to only rely on these nylon washers to seal. Let's see, how's that? Ooh, still have a long way to go. Alright, time for a step fit. Let's see. Oh, let me get back together. Okay, here's my little step fit set. Back on the drill. Should be able to make that work. Already wants to thread in, so that's good. How's this side? This side might need a little, no. Alright, I think I can make that one work too. Alright, let me get set up and I will show you what I am doing. So, one washer off the inside of the tank, then you take the bulkhead fitting. These holes are just slightly smaller than the actual threaded in diameter of this bulkhead. So get that started. Run that all the way down. Run that all the way down, so that's nice and tight, and then I won't only be relying on the washers and clamping force of the ring to seal this thing. And I did this the same way on my Colorado and have no issues, so I'm not too worried about it. And then I will just take these on the inside, and I've got plenty of length. There we go. So, don't know if you could see anything in there, but there's one bulkhead fitting done, so let me get the other one done. This one will be the return. They're the same thing, I just want the return on this side of the tank. Figured I'll keep it simple. Pump is over there, so pump on the right side of the tank. Turns over here, return on the left side. Not that I forget when I put it all together. Now, let's just get this tightened up. There, whatever. More comfortable now. Obviously a fender stand isn't. It's proving not to be the best way to work on a gas tank. Okay, here's the filter basket. So basic rundown is I have to take both of these hoses off because I am going to be reusing the hoses. This one on the left is the return out of the regulator, which goes to this fuel siphon doohickey. So I have to pull that off, and then that is going to go, I don't know if I could see, yep, that is going to go onto the barb on the bottom of this fitting for the return. So the return will still flow through there. And this is the feed from the pump that feeds the filter basket. So this is going to come off of there. Again, I'm not aiming the camera in the right spots. This hose is going to come off of there, which is still 3/8 hose, so that's good. It will flow perfectly, will flow great. So that's going to go onto the bottom of this barb fitting for the feed. That will feed my external regulator and go through an external fuel filter and all that stuff. But yeah, it'll go on there, and then let me just break everything. You didn't see that? And then this end, this quick connect won't be used anymore, so I could just pop that off and then pop that right over, pop the hose right over the nipple on the fuel pump. So yeah, let me get these hose clamps all off. Okay, I'm gonna start by getting everything off of this filter basket. It's kind of a pain to work with when everything is stuck to it. Terrible looking razor blade. I'm just going to try to slice it right after the last barb up here. Because I don't want to lose any length if I don't need to. just for now, because I don't want to screw up any wiring. And I'm back to, oh, there's the fuel. Alright, let me drain it. Wish I could just get it open right away and drain it that way. And pull these out of the way. Oh, man, not a chance doing it that way. What are my options? I have this, this. I'm just gonna clamp that in a vise and try. Let's see. Filter basket, screwdriver, clamped in vise. There we go. I think that is opened up. It's getting there. There we go. All right. Well, that's the inside of a mini filter basket. These things are yellow when they're new, so let's see how this thing looks after 90,000 miles or so. I mean, it's black and there's, I don't know, a lot of junk in there, so yeah, either way, not reusing this thing, gonna run an external stainless one. That's good for E85, so throw this out. And don't light the garbage can on fire. Time to close this back up and just pop it back in. Yeah, whatever. Okay, this is done for now. I'm not going to put it back in yet. This is pretty much just going to close up the tank once I'm done with all the fuel lines. Yeah, whatever. Just put this off to the side and clean it up a bit so it's nice when I put it back in. Alright, this is where I'm at. This is the fuel pump basket. As you saw in the beginning of this video, I already have the 525 in here. Brand new razor blade. Let's chop this nicely. Yep, alright, that'll work. And then this old quick connect used to go to the top of the other pump, which was a 5/16. Well, I need it on there. So I'm not going to use the quick connect. So I don't want to, I can't clamp it to the, whatever they call that, corrugated part. And this goes up here, this goes way over there. You know what, I've got plenty of, yeah, I'm not worried about it, okay. If you can see that, I have plenty of hose length here. So I'll reuse that part because it's still in decent condition and has enough of a flat. And then over here, I'm going to cut it right to this long part. There's that. Garbage. So this part I might use on the straight. This part, yeah, this part I'll use on the pump. So, might have to heat this and hope that it doesn't burst into flames with gas fumes. Just to get it over the pump. Alright, we'll do that. At my torch, I am going to do this not near the fuel tank, so be right back. Actually, I'll do it outside. Okay, cool. Put that all the way down to where I want it. Now, let's see, I'm going to find which size this is made for. 11 to 13 mil. 11 to 13. I think it's going to be that one. So now, let me just get this guy. Oh, not that way. Where's the camera facing? Alright, so fuel injection hose clamp right up onto here, right up over the edge, loosen it up, get a little further, we'll go right there. Break the nipple off the pump, but there we go. Nice and tight. Perfect. So now this guy, this thing is ready to go back into the tank, whichever direction it faces. I don't remember. And then get this guy onto this nipple, onto this bulkhead. Anything I'm forgetting? I know I have orange gaskets. Don't remember where they go. Oh, on there right away. Yeah, this has to go. It's old. Maybe it won't even fit. So that goes in there. Okay. Yeah, so that goes there. Yeah, that looks right. No. Now I have to put this all the way through. Oh. There we go. Hey, this is spring loaded too. Cool. Didn't know that. I'm gonna leave that until I have this side all done and filter basket in, so I can just close it up or plug it in and close it up. So there's another smaller hose clamp. I'm gonna put it in a spot I can access it, which will be like that. It'll fit, but I gotta open it up just a tiny bit. Get a screwdriver or something to put in there. There we go. What is that? 7/32. That's enough to open it up a good bit. Okay, here's a return. Got that opened up so it goes on. Here is the feed. Got them both stretched out enough to be able to, I still need to get this one a little more. We got them both stretched out enough to be able to get them over the barbs and clamped. Still want this one to go further down because this one's going to actually hold pressure. So let me stretch that one out a little more, and then I'll get this fitting back in the tank. Alright, how's that look? Yeah, I'm okay with that. Over here, where I can see again. Shove this thing in here. Should have got a little more of an extension. Alright, Now, just need to repeat the process with the return. So, this thing's gonna have to go to the other side of the tank. This gets clamped onto that filter basket. Now, I'm just gonna let's lose these in the tank. And I think in order to do that, it goes this way. That way, and then this. That's in the tank. One more hose clamp. It's the wrong size. Perfect. Alright. Put this away. Now, here's my filter basket. Here is my filter gasket. There's that. This has to go to that side of the tank. Catch it first. And there we go. That's on that side. Now, this siphon deal, when it goes in, you're gonna have to slide that up and plug it in right there. Well, not plug in, but you know what I mean. Clip it on. There we go. Alright, that's clipped on. Now let me grab that tube over here. Let me just put a little bit of oil around here. So, alright, yeah, definitely put oil on it. Makes it so much easier. And that is in place. Alright. That thing. Plenty of space to the locking ring, so get that on hand tight for now. And go to that side. Struggle with it the same way. Ah, yes, the siphon tube just popped out again after moving that thing around so much. Grab the light. Where is it? Where are you hiding? Oh, it's up here. I try to put this on camera, but I mean I can barely see with my eyes as is, so. Alright, so I have so this is going to be the fuel filter I'm going to run. I get these, like, I think they're like $15 Chinese billet ones, but I changed the filter element on the inside to 10 micron Aeromotive, and they drop right in. Because these are pretty much a clone of the Aeromotive. For, I mean, the housing itself is dirt cheap compared to the Aeromotive one. So, I'll show you that when the time comes, but I have to make... I'm gonna terminate both sides of this right now with, here, you know what? Let me clip this on. So, I'm gonna terminate both sides of this for now with these 180s. And then one of them I'm going to cut down to 5 feet or so because it's gonna run to that fuel filter under the car from the feed side. So I just need to make a 5-foot section with a straight and a 180, because that'll be that little piece that goes in between. So, alright, let me do this. So I use a rubber glove. I don't have any fancy tools for doing AN fittings, and these aren't like Earls or Russells or anything. These are just generic PTFE. Actually, I don't think they're too generic. They're actually, I think these are Red Horse. So, let me go with the finger. So, to stop myself from scratching them up too bad, I mean, they're never going to be seen again. I'm not too worried about it. But I do like to try to give it some cushion between the vise and the fitting. So there's the ferrule you need for a PTFE fitting. Not very easy to work with right now because it's 20 degrees in here. So first get this over. Then I want to pull the rest of this tape off. And once the tape's off, proceed to stab your fingers, because you need that ferrule to be just on the PTFE hose on the inside. Alright. So we're flared out a bit. Let's see if that's enough. Almost. Alright, let's see. It's getting there. Yeah, I know this isn't really the right way to do it, but they're doing a ton of fuel systems with this stuff on the Colorado and my Corvette. It's honestly the easiest if you don't want to get stabbed and don't want to pay for specialty tools. Alright, in there all the way. Teflon is seated all the way at the top. So I then spray a little bit of any sort of lube you have right on the fitting. Makes it easy to get it in the hose without scoring anything up, and shove that right over. There you go. Alright. Tighten that up a little bit. Again, no fancy AN wrenches or anything. Slowly get it going so you don't catch any of that steel braid in the threads. Because then you have a bad time. Usually trashes the fitting when that happens. So you shouldn't be feeling really any real resistance. Just keep going until it's fully seated. Don't let your hose get kinked or wrap around. Two more turns. Oh, don't want to slip off. There we go. All right. There's one undone. Crimped on all the way. No kinks. All right, perfect. I'm gonna do the other end right away with the 180, and then I'll figure out where I want to cut this to put the straight end on. So I want to do that before I put this in the car, because once I put this in the car with the tank on, these aren't going to come back out that gap. It's going to be tight. So I want to get the section that goes to the fuel filter done outside of the car, so I don't have to worry about it. And the side that goes with the return is going to be 8 to 10 feet long right away, so I'll just do that on the ground underneath the car, because it's going to run to the flex fuel sensor wherever it goes. Alright, here we are again. So let's see. Move that out of the way. I have a piece of tape where my bend is. So then, a little more tape. I use painter's tape for this because if you use electrical tape or something, it just melts with the heat. Then I want vaguely somewhere about 20 inches, which is right here. So, put that painter's tape on. Try to wrap it a little tightly because you do want it to keep some pressure on there. Okay. Tape measure out of here. Cutoff wheel. And I'm going to shoot my sparks this way because I don't know, personal preference, and I'm a lefty, so then just gonna cut. Nice. Then put this stuff out of the way for later. That one is going to end up being the return side. So first, this is going to be the first bit of the feed side that is feeding the fuel filter. Take back off. Now I need a straight. Here is a stepping on scissors, stepping on everything. And here is a straight. Nice. All right, so that's done. Ready to go back on the car. Here it is. I'm just making sure I have the right size fittings for my fuel filter. So that goes on there, like that. And it will connect under the car, top of the tank like this, under the car, fuel filter. I will open this up in a bit and show you what it looks like with that air motive element. I left it in the house, so I have to go grab it anyways. Okay, so here's that cheap fuel filter I was talking about. These things are like $12 to $15 on Amazon, depending on, I don't know, the time of the month. Their prices are always changing. Here's an actual Aeromotive 10 micron filter element, which is what I want to run on this thing after the pump. So, just to show you, I mean, it still saves over half the cost of buying an Aeromotive. These filter elements are like still like 50 bucks or so. So, open this thing up. Obviously, my adjustable is not the right size for this. So, let me crank this open. Not knock my extinguisher off of the countertop. These things do have a spring in them, so I can't take credit for this idea. This has been posted all over Sloppy Mechanics for years. So here is, I think it's like an 80 micron or 100 micron that comes in these things. So just pop that old thing off. These things are also held together with this really crappy glue. So even if you wanted to run it with the E85, last time I did try one of these things, actually on this one, this is an older one that I had, I ran it with just the filter that came with it, and I mean, that glue just melted. I don't know if it just does that with all fuels or specifically because I used it with E85, but that glue melted and the thing fell apart, which rendered this useless. So get rid of that garbage. Struggle with the staple closed plastic packaging. Pull that out. Pull this out. do I need that? I don't know. Might replace that seal. As you can see, they are identical sizes, except that this 10 micron is much better quality, just all around. No sign of that crappy glue. I think this thing is actually like crimped, so yeah. Cheap hack to get a nice Aeromotive fuel filter. And then this thing, so that thing pops right onto there nicely, and then right into there. Aeromotive filter for less than half the cost. With a nice mounting bracket and all. Perfect. So this is going to run right down here. This one is already this divot from the factory, I don't know, a factory line of some sort. You probably just run that right into there like that. And then fuel tank strap, factory fuel tank strap runs up right in between these two. So yeah, nice. Everything fits. Fittings don't hit the tank. That will work out. Perfect. Okay, so I got the evap canister off the fuel tank, but I had to crack it off because I just could not get these bolts to break loose. I got the one to break loose down here, but the second one, I mean, I said earlier that the bolts are stainless, but the nuts that they use on the inside are not. Turns out they are, but the fuel tank plastic's just so soft, and these things are red Loctited from the factory, that it just wants to spin the entire thing. So that sucks. Like, it's not even rust or anything. They just pretty much glue it from the factory, so you can't get it off easily. Okay, so crawling back under the car. I'm getting ready to put the fuel tank back in. So I am going to keep all these connections on the top of the tank from the evap, which include the side ones and the big center, because I do want the fuel vapors to be able to purge out of the tank, so that so I don't deal with that annoying clicking you get at the pump where you can't get a full tank. So I'm going to keep those, which means I have to keep which one is this? This is one of these fat ones up here. So I need to keep that one hooked up, and then I want to put one of these, probably cut it and bring it up higher somewhere in the car or under the car, so that fuel doesn't want to come back out. Pretty much just higher than the tank level. Higher than the top of the tank, I should say. And this one I don't need. This is the one that runs up to the intake manifold on the stock setup. Oh, this is annoying. So that I need to get rid of, and this, which is the fuel feed from the factory fuel filter that goes to the front of the car. And if you look, let me move the light. These lines are ran perfectly along the underside of the car. So I want to remove these and run my new 8AN fuel lines in the same spot. And I have 8AN dividers that clamp the hoses together and run all the way down. I would like to try to use those, or if I can, reuse these, open them up a little bit, and try to reuse these factory clips that go right to the bottom of the car. Because that would be nice and clean and won't have to worry about, you know, zip ties or something. So I'm going to try that. Okay, so pull the fuel lines out, but I also had to drop the fender liner here to figure out these evap lines. The evap line on top of the gas tank is this one that has a big loop in it that goes, it's wrapped around there from the factory and then plugged right into that evap canister on the side of the tank. Okay, so this thing is literally, if you want to look in there, it's just like a little air filter. No charcoal canister, no anything like that. It's just a filter that I assume is used to draw when there's negative pressure in the tank, it probably just draws air in from this thing. And they just filter it so it doesn't bring in any dust or contaminants. I don't like the idea of using this thing as a fuel tank vent up inside the wheel well like this, because once the fender liner's on, this thing has nowhere to actually vent. So all the fuel vapors are just going to be caught in this area. So what I'm going to do instead is I am going to pull this back out. So I'm going to pull that out, and I still want to use that filter if I can, but I'm going to pull this out and just try to mount it up somewhere higher up in the car, but under the back of the car where it's exposed. Not that everything's just going to collect in this void up here. Alright, pulled this thing out. So now I'm going to actually bring the fuel tank over, hook everything up, and start to bring it up in the car. Just route this out wherever it fits. Okay, so I have the fuel tank ready to go. I already put the fuel lines on and tightened them. I'm probably going to have to move them a little bit when I get it up in the car. But I have the fuel lines on already because there's not enough space to snake them in when the fuel tank's already up. So I'm going to bring it in with, those are just hanging, so I have to manage them while I move this tank up. Make sure they don't get pinched anywhere. That one's zip tied because I have the entire coil on there because the return is going all the way up to wherever, pretty much up to the front of the car, wherever the flex fuel sensor is going to be. Alright, so I still wasn't happy with the clearance to the return fuel line fitting. So I got the trusty mallet, smacked myself some more clearance in there. So yes, I had to drop the tank again, but dropped it, made a little more clearance, and should be good to go.